What's up, guys? Today we're gonna start a new series off of a 3D maze kind of thing. And here's our goal, the project. So it is absolutely 3D. And there's a mini map on our right top corner. And there are walls that you shouldn't touch. And I've added the line of sight, which I have a video on it. So go check it out, but probably we won't get to line of sight in this episode, but if you're curious how to make it, then go ahead and check the video. Well then, let's get right into it. So guys, I am in a new project and I'm gonna name it 3D. 3D maze. And let's start off with making our first sprite, which is going to be our player. So you can make your player an arrow. And quick explaining. So basically what this is going to be is we're not going to, just do it as kind of like really remembering where the walls were and just rendering them. We are going to use our mini map to render the things. So we are going to name this player. And we are going to make a player hitbox. So name it hitbox and convert a bitmap, a black, and just a single dot of 2 pixel. Boom. Now we're going to go code our code. So first thing we're going to do is obviously when green flag is clicked, we're going to switch our costume to player, and then we're going to I guess point in direction of -90. You guys don't have to do that, but you do have to do switch costume to player. Now, our next thing is go to our starting value, but I guess to do that, we have to make our walls. So let's name it wall, and go ahead, draw a simple maze. So, just like that, and a little bit smaller, I guess, and draw several walls sections, triangles, and more walls, and some squares, so like that. Okay, now when you do that, you want to name your costume 1 to make a level system, of course. Now, for the wall is actually one of the most simplest code, which is just transferring the wall, so this thing, to its starting value, which is going to be at the right top corner, right down corner, or right bottom corner, or whatever corner, because mini-maps goes in corner. I think that's the best. So you're going to put it somewhere and drag it here, which already has the starting value, and go back to our player. So now what you're going to do is to switch costume to our arrow sprite and just put it right there. And of course, you could shrink it down to like 60, which doesn't really, I guess it's okay. So 60, I guess, would be good. And do a go to block. Now what happens when we press our green flag? Now it places itself right there and points in direction of -90. Now let's start our basic platform, which is going to be in the forever loop. We're going to have a movement block. Movement. And we're going to select run without screen refresh. And go ahead and code our movement. So to do movement, we're going to do switch costume to hitbox. And here's another trick. If less than -50, mouse X, then turn this way about 2 to 3 degrees. So I'll select 2 because it does spin very well. Now I'm going to duplicate that, replace it right beside it, and if greater than 50, turn the opposite way 2 degrees. Now what will happen when the game starts is let's first switch our costume back to player, which is doing good. Now here's the thing: if I place my mouse here, it's gonna spin just like that. But if I change it, it's gonna spin the opposite way. So that's kind of one of the good ways. And now let's do if key W pressed. So if key W pressed, then let's put a if else statement. If let's do touching wall, then we're gonna move. No, I mean we're not gonna move, so we're gonna move back steps. But if we are, then no. If we're not, then we're gonna be able to move. Let's just do 0.4 steps because that works pretty well. And we're doing negative 0.6 steps because it actually has to be more negative than the front, or it'll just go through the wall. That's what I've experienced. So we're gonna put that before switch costume to player, and let's just put that aside and duplicate our if W pressed. We're gonna go ahead, switch that to S pressed, and we're gonna switch those two. Or maybe let's just keep it like that, but negative 0.4 and 0.6. So now what's going to be happening is us actually being able to move around. So when I go like that, I will be able to move around. And there are collisions. Now let's start coding our next block, which is actually going to be clone. So let's name it clone. And for our clone block, we're also going to check run without screen refresh. We're going to click OK and put that right there. So define clone, then we are going to again switch our costume to hitbox. And then I am going to get pen extension. And then put set color to something like a little bit grayish. So something like that. And then we're going to select send pen size to 1 and pen down. So pen down. And we are going to make a variable, name it clone count for the sprite only. So basically what clone count is kind of like clone ID, which I use a lot. So let's go ahead, set our clone count to 0. And then we are going to turn something like 30 degrees, which is actually going to be our FOV, which is field of view. And then we're going to repeat 60 times, which is our FOV. So this is half of our FOV, and this is our FOV. So just double it up from this to this. So 30 to 60 is good. Now what we're going to do is to put a change clone count by 1 right there. And then what we're going to do next is just to put create clone of myself. And then turn the opposite way of this. So that and 1 degrees. Now what we're going to do is just get this block at the end. So it'll return to my actual position. And then what we're going to do is just switch costume back to our player costume. Now what's going to happen is us being able to move around having those weird line following us. So let's resume. And what we're gonna do is when I start as a clone block now. When I start as a clone, I am just gonna go there and make something called Raytrace, which is also going to be a block. And also for Raytrace, we will check run without screen refresh. So we'll put that right there and code our Raytrace. So here's the thing. For Raytrace, we want a list. We want distance to wall. And it is fine with for all sprites. So what you want to do is add thing to this distance to wall 60 times. So actually just same value as this. So we want to do that. Now what happened is there's 60 thing in distance to wall. It just doesn't matter what's in there, you will keep it like that. And then we will get a repeat until, or actually let's just get touching wall. So oops. Let's just stop the project. It is lagging very much. When we do that, okay, it froze. Let's just wait a little bit. Until it unfreezes. Unfreezes. Good. Now it unfroze because the project stopped. Let's just do move one step. What we're gonna do next is just go ahead, get a replace item block. Replace item, get our clone count of distance to wall with, here's the tricky thing. So go to wall, go to sensing, get a distance to player, and drag it into player. And if you see, we got this block. But if you see, we don't have a choice to select distance to player in player. So it's actually the only way to get this block in the thing. And we will put that there. So what basically this does is to check the distance to its main sprite, the player, from clones. So I guess you could get what I mean, but yeah. Let's go on. Let's see. Let's just put delete this clone. And then now what will happen is we have line of sight. We can move around. But if you see, the line of sight is left over. So we have to put a erase all. But we don't want to put it here. So what we want to do next is to make a block. Call it render. And make sure to check run without screen refresh. Let's put our render right here. And make sure to put our render also right there. Now what we'll do is to define render, then we are going to do, we're actually going to go ahead and make two variables. And that is going to be my x and my y. It doesn't really, I don't think it does matter if it is for all sprites or for the sprite only. Well, then if you got the render block, we're going to set my x and set my y to 0. Then what we're going to do is go to pen, get send pen size to something around 8, and oh, forgot something, put x position and y position. So set pen size to 8, then what we want to do is make another variable, which is going to be count. and we want to check for the sprite only. So let's go ahead, put count under the pen size, and then now we will put erase all. So we want to do pen up, and then go to x of -250 or something like that, and y of 0. And then we are going to put repeat loop and change that as same value as that. So 60. And then when you've put that, we want to do change count by 1. So it's going to start counting. And we will do change x by 8. So let's say it's same value as that. Then what we'll do next is, well, let's say, let's go ahead, but change y by. So let's say it changes y by a value. And for the value, we're just going to put times something like 9 at the second one and do a minus at the first. And we want to put 25 at the front. So 25 minus item count of distance to wall. And then you just want to duplicate that. Make sure to change this value to -18, which is double of that, but so it's kind of like times -2. If you see, nothing really happens yet. It is extremely laggy and nothing happens yet. So just go ahead and stop your project. Oh yeah, and here's the thing. Make sure try not to run your project. It's going to blow your computer up while you're making. For the project, it is very laggy when you're making it, so make sure to stop when you're coding. Now what you're going to do next is just to set our y to 0. Because as you saw, I don't know if you did, but the dot came here, went up, 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 and boom, down. So you want to make sure just do 0. You don't want it 2 down. And let's go to pen, get a pen up. And then let's just go back to, my x, my y. Thing you're gonna do next is actually to put a pen down. I forgot that. So where you're gonna put that is here. So if you see, we have this. It is a simple rendering. It is kind of working already, but it doesn't look good with just one color. We want to make the farther one black, so darker, and the closer one lighter. To do that, we want set pen brightness. So set pen brightness to, let's just duplicate this. Let's just duplicate that. So let's change that to something like 20. Change that something like 7 or 8. And we will put that under the pen down. Now, yeah, there are some bugs, so something like that. And those doesn't really look good. And it's sort of looking good. It's already kind of rendering our 3D stuff. But there are some bugs, so what we want to do next is, why is that there? So we want to throw that out, is go back to our ray trace. So we will, because of these kind of bugs, we will just delete the ones that are too far away to black. If you see, there are a long row of black, which doesn't really look, so we will just go ahead, delete those at the end. And it'll actually delete these long one, which is a bug. So let's do if statement. So if Let's drag our delete this clone to the bottom. If greater than 25, let's duplicate distance to player. And then let's get replace item, clone count of distance to wall with 99. So when you do that, let's go back to our render, and then we'll want to do an if statement. If greater than, actually less than 99, item distance to wall. So item count distance to wall. Then we are going to do pen down. So let's just do that, put that back in. So basically what we're going to do is it's just not going to put their pen down. We're not going to put our pen down if it's too far. So basically it's just not drawing if it's too far. Now, but if we get closer, it will render. So that is basically 3D rendering. But what did we forget in the episode? We haven't made the wall that could kill you. So in the next episode, I will be back with those. But before I finish it, it doesn't really look good with our white background. So I'm going to go ahead, change that to something like very, very dark color. So about 26, 25. If you see, this looks so much better, hurts your ILS. And it's kind of like it's fading in because it's also kind of dark. And if you see, look at the map, even though what we did move like 0.2 steps, it's moving very, very fast. So if you want, you can just slow it down. And as I said, I'll be back with another episode explaining how to add a wall that could make you die and respawn. So thank you for watching, guys. Make sure to check out my studio. I've shared all my tutorial projects on my studio, so if you didn't get it or something like that, you guys can go to my studio, check it out, and yeah, I guess it'll help you understand. So peace.